Hello, everybody. Once again, we are rolling. Today, I'm recording in the afternoon, so I don't get to say good morning, which, ironically, I feel like I say good morning to people more often than good afternoon, even if I'm seeing them in the afternoon. And I've thought a lot about that. My wife actually called me out on it at one point, and I think it comes from greeting people at church and just always saying good morning, good morning. And so just that frequency of how many people you greet on a Sunday morning just carried over. So then a lot of people I'd say good morning to, even if it was the afternoon. But I was trying to think of something amusing or a good story to tell or something funny, an anecdote to share, and just thinking through a lot of different stuff. And I would actually argue I don't have any amusing stories to share at this point, which is really frustrating because I want everyone who makes a YouTube channel selfishly wants it to have lots of views. And unfortunately, my ramblings don't get many views. In fact, I think they're sitting around 25 to 30 views on average. But the other day, I made a video, made a short. And this short is my most viewed video of any of the videos. In fact, I have 2 or 3 YouTube shorts that have had around 1,000 views, and this video has around 2,000, just under 2,000 last time I checked. And the video that had the most likes on it had probably 6 likes on it. Now, granted, I've been posting videos to YouTube for probably over 2 years, maybe around 3. I've been posting my sermons online for a long time, and I thought I had a great series through James. Get like 7 views, 1 like, no traction. In this last video, my oldest daughter, we were kind of joking around, and she's in 4th grade, and I had our cat, and I was holding our cat, and I was like, Bennett, ask me how tall Scottie Pippen is. And so I'm holding the video, and I'm holding the cat, and she asks me, and I hold my cat. So she says, Odin, how tall is Scottie Pippen? I take my cat's little paws and I weigh them up and down and go 6'7". It's a 7-second video, and it's stupid. It is the epitome of brain rot. I mean, it is the definition of YouTube brain rot. And that video is the video that has 6 likes now, and which is not many for a video, I know. Almost 2,000 views. It's so dumb. Like, within an hour, it had more likes than any of my other videos, and within 2 hours, it had more views than any of the other videos. And all it was a very, very stupid video of me holding my cat. And which makes me go back and think, it's easy to accuse the internet of being a, black void and empty space, where there's just nothing valuable on it, or very little valuable on it. But right now is marking the 25th anniversary, and I sent this to 2 of my friends from high school, and the comment back was, "We are old." The 25th anniversary of HomestarRunner.com's videos, and HomestarRunner.com, Homestar Runner as a concept is about 30 years old. Now, if you don't know what HomestarRunner.com is, it is 209 videos of this animated masked wrestler responding to emails. And it's kind of like a Dear Abby situation for anybody who remembers the Dear Abby column, which used to be a newspaper column where someone would ask a nun, I think she was at one point, a question, and she'd respond back in her wisdom. And then someone else started writing for her, and it became clearly not the same writer. But anyhow, that's another tangent that I guess that would be a tangent I'd go off on while I would run with someone. But So to bring it back, is this masked wrestler who is answering these emails, and it's old, like DOS prompt format, so it's like it has a real nostalgic feel to anyone who is 35 and older, and for anyone who has experience with the older software programming and computers. And he just gives terrible advice. And it's one of the shows that one of those my fond memory is we worked in the cornfields over the summer in Southwest Michigan. We would cross pollinate two breeds of corn to make seed corn, and so it was usually a bunch of high school boys' job to walk the field and pull out the tassels from which would be the part that is where the pollen is on one type of corn, so that way another corn could breed into it to make a new hybrid corn. And so I don't know who first had told who and whatnot. I want to think Harold Fish might have been the original person who told Kyle Mills, who showed Scott Cressman, and I don't know if it was Scott or Kyle who showed us. And so it's one of those videos that after you'd spent all day walking through a cornfield, getting soaked by the dew in the morning, having all the spider webs snag all across your face, and then have the 95-degree, 90% humidity July afternoon just absolutely decimate any sense of reality from you. I loved detasseling. It was very simple, mindless work. But it's one of those videos that you watch after you work all day, and if you're a high school male with 5 functioning brain cells, more than 5 but less than 10, it's incredibly amusing. So obviously, I think HomestarRunner.com was a whole lot more mentally stimulating than the 6-7 trend, which is really dumb. But like there was also stupidvideos.com, which existed before YouTube, where you'd look up ads that were humorous, and there was a series of ads called the Trunk Monkey, which I just thought was hilarious. And I don't even know what that ad was for now, but I just thought it was the funniest I think it was a car insurance ad, because it was an anti-theft device. Was you had a monkey in your trunk that would beat up the person who tried to steal your car. I actually think Uncle Leon introduced that video to us all the years ago. But so I try to take these trips back down memory lane, partially because of the athletes that I used to coach, and this would be the stuff that I really enjoyed, just sharing life during a long meet or during a long run or the bus rides. But then also I think about, if you're a high school student now, the world looked so much different 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 25 years ago. And it's easy to think that because it looked so different, that it was different. But I left the book at my home, but I'm reading Greg Quiggle's biography of D.L. Moody. And this book was, so it was D.L. Moody founded Moody Bible Institute, which was not called Moody Bible Institute when it was founded. It was named after, I think, the street, which was Coleridge, if I'm remembering right, but I always think porridge in my mind, and so things get a little scrambled for that. But the conditions of the people, the conditions and the actions of the people who lived where Moody ministered in 1860 was just a description of complete abject poverty, complete rampant sinfulness, and people, it said, people doing the unimaginable. And I was like, whenever any of us says it was so much better, fill in the blank time, or things are so different now, and that concept is that things are getting worse now, that everything is atrophying now, and that it is so much better at some previous point in time. It How it's bad looks different, but sin has abounded always. Foolishness has abounded always. Selfishness has abounded. Kids have always disrespected parents. There's always been a cross-generational communication issue, and don't get caught up with people talking about how different things are. Things are always different, good or bad. That's a looking forward. I wrote about change for the church's monthly newsletter, and I didn't use the illustration that Bernard Shago gave in Astoria, that change is like a lava lamp. So life is like a lava lamp. It's always changing. It's going back and forth, and you just never know exactly what it's going to be. And the moment you think you understand, it's going to change. And that's where the biggest attribute that you can have is to walk humbly in life. And I think when you're others focused, it actually helps you in the midst of change, because the focus is on how do you help others rather than thinking about yourself. And also, this is just a quick challenge. Whenever, just think about when the most conflict and strife has existed in your life, it probably has been when you and someone else are trying to coexist in the same space. So trying to live in the same area, trying to occupy the same place, whether it be home, whether it be job, whether it be school, whether it be team. You and someone else are trying to be on the same team, same place, whatever, but you're both seeking your own self and what your own self can get. So conflict is always going to happen, but there's going to be more conflict whenever you approach things from a selfish standpoint. And when two selfish people approach something, it is going to just be an abounding of sin and frustration and error. So for those who are married, this is like one of the most obvious examples. Just when both people are approaching a communication without the desire to think, what is the other person hearing? Conflict is going to abound, because miscommunication becomes personal when you're thinking of yourself rather than someone else. But these are the thoughts that run through my head too whenever I'm preparing a sermon, whenever I'm working. So David and I have worked our way through the book of Ephesians, and we're trying to think about, what are experiences that people have had, what are experiences that people are having, and how do you communicate the truth of a passage to someone in that situation. And we worked our way through the book of Titus in our youth group, and I'm currently writing a curriculum through 1 Peter. So to do this, I translated the entire book, the entire letter, and I translated it verse by verse, and some of the verses were incredibly awkwardly translated because I was, not seeing how certain pronouns that were thrown in there, or certain conjugations of verbs, all that jazz. Like, there's some awkward looking translations. So then I took this. I have a book that's the New Testament in 27 different translations. And so it actually works clause by clause through the New Testament, with showing how 3 to 6 different translations translate each clause. And so over the course of the book, there's 27 different translations that are mentioned. And I work my way through my translation, comparing to see if some other translation worded it clearer, and so then I'm correcting it, and then I'm putting it into a final document that I'm then going, how would you phrase this in a manner that someone who is a junior high or a high school student would understand without sacrificing the actual words of the original document and the intent of what's being communicated for the current. And that sounds super brainy and nerdy, but like that is actually the translation theory that most Bibles are, is people work their way through the scriptures, and then rather than consulting a 27 different translation, it's a committee of people, and they read through each other's translation. With, if it's the Old Testament, they have Hebrew Old Testament next to them and the person's translation, and they'll kind of mention it. Now, some translations are more updated versions of previous translations, whether it be more updated manuscript history or more updated language basis, all that jazz. But that is my way to put it out there to the youth that starting in January, we are going to work our way through First Peter. Because this Sunday is going to be another standalone lesson, because we're not going to have youth group on the 30th, and then on the first and second Sundays in December, every single person who can see this video, everybody is invited, because here at St. Paul's we are doing 2 Christmas movie nights, or to better put it, we are doing 2 Advent movie nights, where the youth is going to be hosting it, and we are going to have snacks that we're going to sell. It's going to be nickel and dime concessions. So people have donated concessions already, and we got some hot dogs, and we're going to have some pizza, and we got lots of movie type snacks. Huge shout out to everyone who's donated. And you're going to be able to buy concessions. Kids are going to be able to buy their parents' concessions, and it's going to be relatively cheap. And I cannot remember the name of the first movie that we're going to watch, but the second movie that we're going to watch is the second movie night. We're going to watch 2 movies. We're going to watch VeggieTales The Star, and then we're going to watch a Charlie Brown Christmas Story. So we chose 2 short movies that we're watching together for the second one, and then for the first one, it's a newer animated movie over the life of Christ. So we're not watching Elf or Lampoon's Christmas or A Christmas Story or Home Alone. Those aren't necessarily as family-friendly movies as we're hoping to have for a church Christmas night, but come watch it, invite your friends. It's a free movie night starting 6 o'clock at St. Paul's Lutheran Church, 112 East Wayne Street. So here in Maumee, Ohio, come on out and watch these movies. We'd love to have everyone join that can. But so that's just a little forecast looking forward. Ultimately, I just want everybody to have that experience of the love of Christ, and then I want that love of Christ to also be something that compels you to be like Christ. And that's a major motivation in my life. That's part of also why I make these videos, is I loved coaching my athletes, and I loved just the conversations I could have with them. And this is a way to continue on that relationship, and I'm super excited to hear everything that they're doing in college now. Super excited to hear the success of what they had, and I'm also looking forward to eventually rejoining the coaching world here in Maumee and building those relationships here as well. So God bless everybody, and have an awesome time.